Let's freaking go! Brian Thomas Jr., do you expect him to take another leap in 2023? He is the clear-cut number 2 option now for LSU, so comment down below. Do you believe BTJ is a lock for 600 yards receiving next year? Now, that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but I'm going to show you his numbers from the first 2 seasons at LSU. As you can see, it looked as if he actually regressed statistically in 2022, but it is rare for a wide receiver that your most iconic play has been a block up to this point. You get 2 excellent blocks right here from Mason Taylor and Josh Williams, and then over here, BTJ. I know it added a little extra spice that Elias Durant was the corner, and this is probably the best block I've ever seen from an LSU wide receiver. And look at where he is now. Look, Eli Ricks is trying to join LSU again. He's that far on our sideline. So BTJ is a very difficult evaluation because this guy has immense talent, not only as a blocker, but just as a receiver. And there are certain things that he does really well on this team, such as the double move, right? It's something that LSU has highlighted quite a bit in just practice sessions with BTJ highlights. He is really good at this one route. Not quite playing press, but if we have all this space, we want to be able to attack it. So once again, you fake like you're running the in-breaking route, and then you just cut over the top of it. And as you'll see, BTJ, look at all this separation right here. And you take a look at the actual game logs from his first couple of seasons, you'll see his numbers pretty much stay about the same. He'll give you a few catches for about 40, 50, 60 yards, and his best games came in the non-Power 5 scenario. So you see 61 yards versus Louisiana Monroe. And then his best games last year, New Mexico for 65 yards, and then Southern for 55 yards. So let's take a look at the advanced stats. Yards per route run, that's both of his first couple of seasons. You want that number to be higher, or at least see some type of increase. And then when you compare it to Malik Neighbors' yards per route run increase, it's pretty drastic. This is via PFF and friend of the channel 4K Trey. And let's take a look at SEC StatCats advanced numbers. 50 targets or more wide receivers in the SEC. As you can see, BTJ is in the bottom 10 in quite a few metrics. But I don't believe it, because you have to go look at the tape itself, and it tells you a completely different story. But obviously, we're just focusing here on BTJ, and I want you to see how beautiful of a route this actually was at the top of the screen. So, obviously, corner inside leverage pressed up on him. He is running a comeback route, and I want you to see how patient he is at the top of this route. And then look at this, all right? He has this corner falling on his own feet. Bang, okay? He stops on a dime after selling vertical. This corner is completely juked out of his shoes, and boom, okay? Look at all this separation at the top of the screen. Now, once again, Jayden had no chance, to go through progressions and work all the way backside. And this time, BTJ is going up against a corner with outside leverage, okay? And we are running an RPO. So you get a bad snap right here that kind of, throws the timing off of this. So Jayden's job right here is to read to see if this space is open. Obviously, he did a good job pulling this, because if he would have handed this ball off, Kane would have been met right there. So BTJ is running an in-breaking route, and I want you to see where this football is delivered, folks. It's behind him, and he's still able to make this catch, okay? Boom, all right? See, it was behind him. He was still able to catch it and fall forward for a few extra yards right there. So, wasn't the absolute best throw right there by Jayden, but it was there. And that was something that happened to BTJ quite a bit on his in-breaking routes. The ball would sometimes be slightly thrown behind him. Something else I really like about BTJ's game is he does break tackles. I really like seeing that from a player. So, obviously, game on the line here. We only have one timeout left. This is Florida State's best tackler, Jamie Robinson. He not only makes him miss, before going out of bounds, he tight ropes this and picks up a huge first down. And right here, okay, BTJ gets no credit on yet again a double move in Tiger Stadium, but this time this is against a Power 5 team. This is another severe underthrow from Jayden on the double move, but the good thing about an underthrow is that you can work back and draw the pass interference penalty if you beat your receiver that badly. So, but still, good job by BTJ drawing the penalty. Okay, then we get to here. It's practically the same thing, but this time, BTJ actually does make the catch. I don't think this was actually an underthrow. You don't really see it right here. There was a little bit of a stutter and go right there as well. And this ball is better thrown by Jayden. Look at how difficult of a catch that was right there by BTJ. With the game still in the bounds, you'll see it again from this angle. Look at that. It is hard to make a catch when a DB's hand is right there. It just comes down to strength and 1-2 at that point. That is just a physical, big-time catch right. Boom, I'm looking at you. This is where nuance is very important, and if you are a deep fan of LSU football, please go join the Patreon where you get extra film breakdowns. I got to be honest with you. I am not sure I remember an LSU receiver who has had worse luck than Brian Thomas Jr., barely missing out on acrobatic catches. There was one earlier in the season versus Auburn early in the game where he had to make a very difficult catch and his foot was barely out of bounds. This is also another one that I have no idea how this one actually got overturned. And this is such a crazy catch in the swamp right in front of their bench. And all of them are like, dang, he really just mossed this guy. And you notice none of them, they're right there, are screaming that this is incomplete. And once again, I want you to see the level of difficulty in this grab right here. Catches it all hands at its highest point while he's falling down, gets 2 feet in bounds, and they called that incomplete after a review, with none of them screaming that that was incomplete right in front of them, okay? So the crazy thing about BTJ's bad luck last year was it wasn't just the Florida game then, it was also the year before in 2021. Do you remember this 70-plus yard touchdown that BTJ scored that was, called back for a meaningless holding call on the offensive line? So, yeah, it's very strange that one player has had that amount of just horrible luck where, you'll get open, but you won't get the ball thrown to you, or there's a penalty and the yards don't count even though you're the reason why the penalty happened. There's so much of that. And then it gets to just Jayden Daniels as a quarterback. So we're going to be talking about this quite a bit in upcoming studies, but it's okay that Jayden Daniels is an elite runner of the football. Look, on this play right here, I don't know exactly what was going on here, why this ball wasn't thrown to Kayshawn right now, because this is a huge gainer, unless it was an automatic out-and-up play, which I'm starting to think that it is, and obviously we don't want to throw the out-and-up with this guy right here. Okay, so I don't know if this was supposed to be a quick out, but the bottom line is this is, when you have a dual threat quarterback of this ability, right here, the run is actually a really good option because they are in man coverage across the way. All their backs are turned, and this is an in-breaking route by BTJ, and if he could break through here, Jayden Daniels, this is a massive, and I mean massive, gainer. But give some credit to Alabama. This is one of the few times they were actually able to contain Jayden Daniels. They were able to retrace their steps and make a pretty huge sack right there. So that's actually a good decision to run with it. But what I would say to Jayden going into next year is there are going to be more teams that do this right here. Okay, so they're going to do something called a mush rush. Saban has been really good at this over the years, and they're just going to tell their defensive linemen, hey, don't rush upfield, just stay in your rush lanes like this. And your third progression is BTJ going up against Elias Ricks. And I want you to watch this route, okay? Elias Ricks has outside leverage, so an in-breaking route should work. And look at this route. Bang! Look at that. You can't beat this. Look at all this separation. Sit in the pocket, deliver that ball right there to Brian Thomas Jr., and that's a huge gainer.
You know, I'm kind of shy or whatever. We've been bonding together, just being around each other, practicing together, getting some extra reps in or whatever. I feel like we've just gotten better all together.
So that was BTJ with Jacques Doucet, a very good piece actually on BTJ's work ethic this offseason. He's been working out with Ken Enio, who has also trained some other LSU legends like Russell Gage and Patrick Queen, friend of the channel, Patrick Queen. Shout out to him. And we'd love to get BTJ on the channel ourselves because he doesn't really give a whole lot of interviews. And he is a quiet guy. You heard him say it for himself that he is a very shy person. But in the background, you saw him break tackles from Emmanuel Forbes. That is a first-round pick in the NFL. All he could do was grab his undershirt. So BTJ is a very slick, smooth wide receiver, and the one guy that he was compared to the most coming out was Terrace Marshall. I even made a TMC comp. You're looking at a photo of the old thumbnail. Obviously, that is crazy, as is this shirt tug right here. And what we're going to do is, if this video gets to 5,000 views in the next week, we're going to give out this Terrace Marshall 1-of-1 super rare card. So in the background, you're seeing a really good throw by Garrett Nussmeier to BTJ in the spring game. But it wasn't a perfect throw, because if it was, it would have been a touchdown. So once again, BTJ very, very unlucky. And then from a film perspective, something else that worked against him, he played more off coverage than basically everyone. This is basically a 8-ish yard cushion, straight quarters coverage across the way. All you could really do is just run comeback routes and just play pitch and catch all day. And it's going to be interesting if we see more of that, but BTJ saw a lot of that, maybe because of his vertical capabilities. And on the very next rep, you're going to see essentially the same thing and him make a very difficult catch in traffic. And this game was actually a career high receptions for him, only 5. So we want to see some spike weeks next year. And I do think that is in the realm of possibility. You know, up to this point, he's probably been a little bit more Terrence Tolliver than Terrace Marshall, and BTJ's and TT80's numbers were very similar in the first 2 seasons. And after that, junior, senior season, Tolliver went off with some spike weeks. And that's essentially what we want to see for BTJ going into next year. Can you give us a few games where you go out there and win it for us statistically? Can you have some spike weeks against really elite teams instead of just the non-Power 5 teams? Because look, I've given a lot of justified reasons why BTJ's numbers are actually better than what they seem. But the truth is, the numbers are the numbers. That's why I'm going to need your comments down below. Will he get to 600 yards? That's going to be very hard. Like, I don't think people realize how uncommon 600 yards receiving actually is. About roughly 14 to 20 SEC wide receivers hit that mark. So just about 1.5 per team, I guess you could say. And if teams continue to play off of him, and keep in mind, because Jayden is an elite runner, as you saw with the Alabama clip earlier, he made a pretty decent decision to actually tuck and run. The Alabama pass rusher made a really good play on it, but you know that ball probably should have been thrown to BTJ on the dig to the backside. But that's tough, right? That was the third progression of the read. And we just interviewed Jeray Jenkins not too long ago, and he broke down how difficult that actually is for a quarterback to go through all the progressions. So I do think with Jeray gone, Jack gone, and now Kayshawn gone, BTJ is by far the most experienced receiver left in this room. But as we always say on PHL, unless you are truly special, you are never truly guaranteed a role as a wide receiver in this offense. And I think we can all agree that up to this point, there has been one truly special producer, and that, of course, is Malik. So you have a group of about 4 or 5 guys behind BTJ, tight ends and receivers, that very well could end up being the second highest productive wide, or should I say just pass catcher in this offense. And there is one in particular that's a sleeper that I think could be that guy. We'll talk about that if you're watching this on a premiere on the live stream tonight. There is a special role on special teams that I think BTJ would be the perfect fit for, and I don't think he's actually played this role just yet. I think it could be a game-saving role. So, once again, check it out on Patreon. I didn't want to do any special team stuff because, of course, we're going to keep it just at receiver today. So, I'm going to need your comments, y'all. Do you think 600 yards is a lock for BTJ next year? That is roughly 46 yards per game on a 13-game schedule. I think he's hit that mark 4 times thus far in his career. So, it's hard. It's hard. It just doesn't seem like it, but it is hard to get to that number. Now, floating in your face, there's going to be some other beautiful PHL content. I spent a lot of time on this. So, once again, if we hit 5,000 views, we're giving out that TM6 card. You know you want it, baby. It is Power Hour LSU. Bam! And tonight, we are doing... let's go get some Sloppy Joes. Let's go.